Who is the worst band you've ever seen live and why? Not so much a band, but old dirty bastard got up on stage, starting saying why into the mic. Then just said I'm too FK'd up to do this, and sat there for a while. Elton John. At first it started out great. Then he had a few minor technical issues and threw a hissy fit on stage. Billy Joel was also performing, and he saved the show. Started joking about the problem. Jumped from one piano to another at age 60 something and started fixing the technical problems. All while performing the rest of Elton John's song. And all while Elton John sat off to the side swearing at his tech crew, refusing to play. Favorite moment of the night. Billy Joel screaming hey. At least you know we aren't F-King lip syncing. Double quote. Saw Bob Dylan a few years ago and it was painful. Could not even distinguish which song he was singing half the time. Blood on the dance floor. Saw them at Warped Tour. Wanted to see what the deal was. It was just a totally uncomfortable experience all round. It wasn't just bad. It was just an all-round awkward and creepy performance. Normally, I preach just because you don't like it doesn't make it bad. But I can't understand how you can enjoy that. I once saw K $Ha play at a fair. She meowed all of the lyrics of TikTok. Edit, I really just wanted the world to know about this. It was truly great and terrible all at once. The shitty Beatles. They sucked. Best, the Pogues. Worst, the Pogues. Depends on how drunk he is. I saw Macklemore live at a festival and he would not stop droning on about peace and equality. I mean, yeah, I believe in those things. But I'm here to listen to music. Easily Sublime. I saw Sublime in 1995 at Cal State San Bernardino. I had seen them previously at Skafest 1994 in Colton and now the puppy that roamed around stage was full grown. They came out and got 1/4 of the way through an unidentifiable song before it became so bad they had to stop. They stopped and restarted many times that night. CSSB is not an awesome place for a show and the crowd began booing and leaving. They crashed their way through what might be considered a song before turning on the house lights and trying to play with the lights on. It didn't help. It was like what 12-year-olds that don't know how to play an instrument pretend to be rock stars for 20 minutes. It was actually so bad I felt depressed from being there. I had heard such great things about this band I had seen on the third stage at a show a year before. That wasn't even a show. I'd prefer to have G. Alan throw his shitty at me than watch them fail at everything they tried. I'm gonna have to go with Cage the Elephant. For full disclosure, I F-King love that band and have all of their albums. So that's why I'm still angry at them. The lead singer ran up on stage and you could tell right off the bat that he's FK'd up on something. He really FK'd up the first song by sticking the mic into his mouth for the majority of the song. I saw Marilyn Manson during the Antichrist Superstar Tour. And that was the biggest musical disappointment I've ever had. He came on 90 minutes late. Played 2 songs. And 30 seconds into the third song he started knocking over microphones. Destroying the stage. And then he left. Edit, really weird mix of responses. It appears he can put on a great show. But you've got at least a 25% chance he'll just totally shitty the bed. My dad saw BB King live recently. He said the experience boiled down to BB King. Barely alive. Well, this thread is depressing as shit. The last Counting Crows concert I went to. Adam, though the audience was there to listen to him BTCH about his disaster of a relationship. Not the best concert for my first date with the young woman who it took me almost 2 weeks to ask out. This is both the worst and best performance I've ever seen. Vanilla Ice at the gathering of the Juggalos in Toledo, Ohio. He knew exactly what he was getting into by signing on to do it and only played stuff from his new metal album. About 60-70% of the crowd either left, sat down, or turned their backs to him. You could hear individual people yelling at him to play Ice Ice Baby and Ninja Rap. After about 20 minutes of this he took the mic. And between the boos said let's kick it and the intro to Ice Ice Baby started up. I've never seen a crowd of people turn from pure hate to pure joy in a fraction of a second like that before. He went on to sing Ice Ice Baby, Ninja Rap, and another one of his classics. Worst and best opening act ever. Fergie. It was just awful. 30 Seconds to Mars. Jared Leto can't sing Live for shit. And he interrupted almost every F-King song to tell the crowd to put the hands in the air or sing with me or complain how the crowd wasn't enthusiastic enough. The choruses are also usually sung by the crowd. But if he does sing them it sounds like a cat dying. He also used a huge flashlight to point at people who weren't standing or enthusiastic and gave them shit. Also at some point he threw a tantrum because the light technician F-ked something up and was a douchebag in general. But the thing that ruined it for me was that he can't F-King finish a song without interruption. Ruins the whole dynamism of a show. It's sad seeing how many live performances were ruined because the band members were drunk high. Black Veil Brides was horrible. I was an idiot. The Colors. I love some of their songs and their music has such a great energy. But when I saw them live my friend and I thought we were legitimately being pranked by some TV show. His singing was so flat and out of tune that at times the song was barely recognizable. The lead singer was starved for air before the first song had even finished. The energy of the performers was nothing compared to their music. It seriously made me wonder how they got famous in the first place. Live singing is something that band cannot do. On the upside, the light show was one of the best I'd ever seen aside from Muse. But the singing makes me sick just thinking back on it. Evanescence. She is very much a studio singer. I saw Smash Mouth live. I haven't seen a lot of live performances. But these guys just weren't very good. It probably didn't help the acoustics that we were in the hangar bay of an aircraft carrier off the coast of Guam. But it sounded terrible. Amy Winehouse. At Festival a few years back. It was raining. She was the headline on the Saturday night. She turned up 45 minutes late. And mumbled her way through the set. Clearly confused or troubled or something. What a wasted talent. Worst live show I've ever been to was a Kiss concert. Grew up on Kiss. Seen them multiple times before. But this time, about 4 years ago, was just abysmal. They had just released a Walmart exclusive album. And would not stop plugging Walmart through the set. At one point, Paul Stanley had the audience chanting Walmart, Walmart, Walmart. Then they stopped in the middle of a set to have some contest winner come up and roll giant dice to win prizes from Guitar Center. Then more Walmart plugs. Gene and Paul disappeared for a good 15 minutes while the other two guys played a guitar drum solo. It was the least rock and roll thing I've ever seen. Still love the music. And I'll always listen to it. But I'll never see another Kiss show. Edit. This blew up a little bit. And people have been searching for video. I found video, not from the show I was at. But the same tour and a much toned down version what they pulled at the show in Arizona. Walmart at 2:00. When I was 12, I went to see Dogster. Featuring Keanu Reeves on bass. Pains me to say it. Smashing Pumpkins. I've seen them multiple times and every time it's bad. Mostly because this is a studio band with lots of overdubs and layering. One guitar solo usually consists of 10-15 layers of the same solo to give it bigger sound. Unable to do that live. Same goes for vocal tracks. Billy sounds terrible live if he is not into it. And even if he is, it still doesn't even come close to sounding like he does on disc. Although, I did see him with Zwan and they absolutely killed it. I just don't get why bands use so many overdubs and multiple layering. I mean I know it's to make you sound better but if you can't reproduce that live, what's the point? The Mars Volta. Now, I'm a huge fan. Love all their albums. So on and so forth. But that day, they sounded like an indistinguishable mess. Like everyone was playing a different song. All at top speed. It might have been the venue, the sound mixing, even my specific location in the venue. But I couldn't recognize a single song. And this was when they only had Last. For what it's worth, it was during a small festival with Kaiser Chiefs and R.E.M. And they sounded perfect. In fact, I went for the Mars Volta only. And came out a fan of the other bands instead. I used to tend bar in a punk club. It had no cover and the bands were paid in beer. The absolute worst was some band from Maryland. It was like they hadn't even practiced. They weren't even playing the same song. After restarting the song 4 times they gave up and left. Also, believe it or not, the White Stripes. The venue was terrible and the acoustics were shit. As a result, they played all their songs double time just to get it over with. It was so disappointing. Oh. Another. The Kills. Fuckers showed up with boombox instead of a band and literally hit play before every song for the backing music. Bob Dylan was the worst by light years. I don't even know where to begin explaining how bad it was. Now I'm not a fan. But I thought, well, he's a living legend and all that. What a mistake. The show lasted less than an hour. Any song that might have been known by the audience was played with a different tempo, in a different key, with different lyrics. They did all they could to not play any hit. Dylan didn't address the audience once. Not once. Mothurfka, I paid $50 to see you. You could at least say hello or thanks. Oh. And he was playing the keyboards. Yes. Keyboards. Not a guitar nor a harmonica. In the back of the stage. With a hat on. I mean, it was allegedly a Dylan show. And from what I've heard they typically work like that. But honestly I couldn't say for sure. They could have just put a hobo on stage with a crappy Dylan cover band. I don't think anybody would have seen the difference. I went to Warped Tour with my friend when we were 17. We had just finished watching one of our favorite bands play. After they packed up and walked off stage, Cobra Starship, not very popular at the time, came out. The lead singer grabbed the mic and yelled something like WOOOO. Are you guys ready for this shit? Everyone just stared. Not a single person cheered. So he yelled again, come on you guys. WHO's DCK, do you have to suck to get a little applause? Some guy in the audience yelled back, shut up. Queer. Everybody laughed. And then slowly dispersed from the stage area. Not to shock anyone or anything, but Taylor Swift can't sing. It's pretty f***ing painful to listen to her sing off key the whole concert. Edit. To clarify, the concert I went to was in 2010, when she was transitioning from country to pop, and it was incredibly off key. In her early albums, especially Fearless, she even gets pitchy on the recordings. I do think she has been taking loads of voice lessons, because the last few live things I've seen haven't been bad. Not really bad. Just lifeless. Jethro Tull. It very much seemed like they were punching a time clock. Don't get me wrong. They played all the hits. Did them well, had a little fun with the audience, etc. Just seems like they punched the clock on the way off stage. The Rolling Stones in the early 80s. At a stadium in Buffalo, NY. Best overheard comment, does Jagger even know the words? Double quote. I saw Snoop Dogg in a small venue as DJ Snoopadelic. The place was packed and people were going nuts over Snoop. Good vibes all around. Snoop Dogg's performance was the worst I've ever seen or could have imagined. I think that he literally had iTunes open on his computer and was just clicking new songs at random while he smoked blunts. There was no mixing whatsoever and the song that was playing would just cut off at a random point and a diff song would start. Fun night, but Snoop Dogg didn't deserve a sold out venue worth of people's money to play iTunes on random. Many moons ago, I and every human being in Toronto went to SARSstock. This massive rock show benefit that was put on while the city was languishing under a slight epidemic. Major headliners were the Guess Who, Rush, AC/DC and the Rolling Stones. I was wandering around the edge of the mega pit, stoned and holding a hot dog, when Rush came on. And I just stood where I was and got entranced. They were unbelievable. And then AC/DC popped up and they just had the entire city in the palms of their hands. Massive. Tribal. Transcendental experience. And then the Rolling Stones. Not so great. Keith was FK'd up beyond all hope. Savagely FK'd up. FK'd up beyond the baseline Keith Richards level of FK'd up. And it absolutely told in his playing. This, in turn, pissed Mick Wright the FCK off. And it was a stage full of hostility, insults, and discordant semi-musical noises. And in that time, in that place, after AC/DC had ruined concerts for 500,000 people with one of the best performances displayed in this city, it was just not good. Not working. Not anything. If you go to a music festival and can honestly say that Justin Timberlake put on a better show than the Rolling Stones, something is wrong with the world. Maybe a little late to the thread, so I don't know if it's worth getting into. But in 2008 we were visiting my sister in SoCal and there was a music festival featuring Alice in Chains, Tool, and Linkin Park. If you're a fan of Linkin Park, stop here. So when you arrive you are assaulted with stickers and flyers for some band you've never heard of. Whatever. Show gets started and everything is groovy. Alice in Chains were amazing. Linkin Park are playing and Tool are next. I am dying to see Tool and can't wait for LP to leave. But wait. There's more. Turns out after LP said the band we'd never heard of, the one with the stickers and flyers, is Chester Bennington, Linkin Park singer's indie rock side project. And even though no one paid to see them, the entire festival gets to see them play a set. When we thought we were going to see Tool, they were booed. The band was bad and they should feel bad. Tool ripped. 25 years ago or so, I took my sister to see Concrete Blonde for her b-day. Since she was a big fan, Jonette Napolitano was so FK'd up on something that she couldn't stand. She crouched in a ball on her knees with her hair hanging down over her face and was slurring incoherently into the mic. The crowd started shouting get up, comma, and then pelted her with a hail of coins and stuff. She got up and staggered off stage before the end of the first song. No refund. The Rolling Stones. Houston. TX around 1983 or 85. Can't pin down the date. Drummer and band about a half beat off the whole time. Saved by ZZ Top who absolutely killed it right before them. Edit. Snorple is right, 1981 concert looks like it. This may be standard for a Stones show, but I really would have preferred having Jagger put a priority on singing instead of jumping around so much. His singing really suffered emo, and the mix was just a wall of noise. I know I'm being a pug, but I go to concerts to listen to music. Listening to that video Snorple posted, I can't hear the rhythm being off like I remembered it. Lots of weak guitar fills though. Disappointing show by Ron Wood. Still listening right now. The mix seems to get better after the first few songs, which you would expect. And overall it seems to get better than I remembered it. 34 years was a long time ago. Mastodon played a really f-king lame show 2014 Soundwave. That day was f-king awesome. Gwa. Testament. Amon Amarth. Gojira and f-king down, but Mastodon were playing last and it was just really boring. They had the trippy lights and played shitty like Oblivion and some stuff from The Hunter, but absolutely zero crowd participation. Brent was the only one who seemed alive, rapping in between songs, and I expected Bill to be a bit of a quiet guy because he seemed like it when I met him at a meet and greet a few months before, but goddamn. That was the worst performance I had seen. Almost half the audience had just come from King Parrot being pumped as FCK, but almost 3/4 of the crowd had left before they finally played their last song, Blood and Thunder, and that's the only song that sounded f-king epic. Real bummer, man. I saw Hoobastank open for Velvet Revolver in Amherst, MA in 2005. The guitarist started playing Don't Stop Believin'. Got the crowd into it and singing the whole 9 yards. Then the singer decided to ruin the only shred of hope he had of playing something we wanted to hear and said something like, "Sorry, we're not playing that gay shit," right before they went into the reason. We booed them off the stage. The guitarist walked off doing the Johnny Manziel money hand thing and spat on the crowd. About as classy as you'd think a band would be if their name sounded like a degree of fart intensity. Not me, but my uncle. My uncle went with his girlfriend to see the Monkey Eyes back in 1967. He did not really want to see the concert, but he agreed to go anyway because girl. Anyway, the opening act for the Monkey Eyes was a little known guitarist by the name of Jimi Hendrix. My uncle went from grudgingly attending to enthralled at one of the most incredible performances he had ever witnessed by this amazing guitarist he, and most everyone, have never heard of before. However, most of the crowd did not agree. Jimi Hendrix got booed off stage with chants of "Bring on the Monkeys." Jimmy relinquished the stage to the main act, and then proceeded what my uncle described as the most depressing hour of his life. He has hated the Monkeys with a burning passion ever since. I feel bad for saying this, but Snoop Dogg. It was 45 minutes of him standing there saying "What's my motherfucking name?" over and over while his hype man screamed. And the sound quality did him no favors. Worst. Aaron Carter. Sisters dragged me to that one. He wore a silver jumpsuit and just did cart wheels and did his shitty raps. Best. Blink 182. This was about 3 years ago, right after they got back together, and it was awesome. Travis Baker is an amazing drummer and really was the star of the show. Mark and Tom were also really funny. It was a great show, old stuff and new stuff. That's how I'd like to remember them. Guided by voices in the 90s. Way too drunk to play or stand. Creed. 2001 was a dark year and I'd do anything for pussy. I saw Brock inside. Blood on the dance floor. And Just Say Yes. Shitty MN band. All in one night. I was a weird F-king kid. Edit. I seem to have missed one entire part of the question. The why part. The reason the 3 bands I mentioned were the worst bands I've seen live is because they are literally 3 of the worst bands ever. Not to mention I distinctly remember old ass dudes, mid to late 20s, came to just prey on the 13-16-year-old girls that came to see them. On top of the band members themselves. Like I said, I was a weird F-king kid. C. Morelli. They played at a club I work at. They can't sing. Every song sounds the same. Being a male in my late 20s, I'm also not in their target group. Edit. I feel like I should add a little something. Here's how it goes. A club is basically a room plus infrastructure you can rent. A promoter contacted us if he could do a gig on a weekday. Problem was that we have a goth party that day. Every week. For that reason we told him that he could have a club. But the doors for the party will open at 9:00 no matter what. Until then the band has to GTFO and the venue has to be redecorated. Black cloth everywhere. Chandeliers with burning candles and the whole chasm. He agreed. Saying that the gig would be for a young audience. And the whole thing would be over around 8 PM. This is where I became a little suspicious and checked out their YouTube channel. Have never heard of them before. But I had enough after the first video I saw. But alas. They wouldn't bother us much and paid the regular rent. Thousands. Plus, if their fans like it, who am I to judge? Well, I will go into details. But they were a little amateurish. Even unprofessional at times. But very friendly and helpful, and what's most important, they were really kind to their fans and interacted well with the audience. But my point stands. They can't sing on stage. The repertoire lacks variety and I am definitely not in their target group.